Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
And have become very close to, and it never would have happened had we not done this event. So I'm very grateful, in spite of what happened, that that we kept going. Well, it's kind of a funny thing, and it's kind of weird, as again, I generally don't have anything negative to say about anybody, but this is a truth, and this guy deserves it. So it's kind of funny because Kevin told me, we all had set up a Gmail account and for the event. And so that way we could receive and we could all have access to everything that came and went. And this guy was logged into this account. But what happens when you're in a Gmail account, and you're running Chrome, anything you search for shows up in your history. And Kevin hit me up about, I don't know, several days later. He's like, "Hey, dude, I don't care what you're into, but there's some weird shit been being searched for in this and using this account." I'm like, "I don't even go in there. I just check to see if anybody logged in, but I don't know." And he changed the password on it so this guy couldn't get in, but there was some really dark and kind of twisted stuff. One of the searches this guy did was how to get a poop stain off of a dildo. And I don't give a shit what you're into. It's not my problem. I don't care about your sexuality, your proclivities. I truly don't care. But when you're going to go accusing me of being a bad, shitty person, and I use that term lightly, and then you're going to search for things like that, I don't know, maybe you should look in the mirror a little bit. And so, that was just my little, I don't know, wanted to throw that out there. Bobby, I hope you get what's coming to you, because the harm you caused really was undeserved. And, I'm going to let it go at that. But if anybody is working with this guy, realize he's probably not what you think, and caused a lot of harm to an amazing event and some amazing people. So we moved forward, and we started putting the word out there, and we brought in another team, a well-known and respected couple that also host events, and they were going to be promoting and bringing all kinds of attention to this event. And as we went along, we had meeting after meeting after meeting. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we were meeting as we got closer to the event. And these guys showed up at about maybe half of them at most. And me and Kevin were on every one. Jeremiah was at most of them, almost all of them. And, we had this whole checklist of things to do, to get. We needed vendors, and then we needed to sell tickets, and we needed a bunch of other things. So Kevin very quickly had a friend who was in construction, and he was willing and donated a bunch of lumber so that we can rebuild the deck. And Kevin said, "I've got family members that can come out and help." And I was like, "Oh man, that would be amazing," because we've got this pretty good sized deck that was torn down years ago due to termite damage. We started rebuilding it, but the dude that was doing it was a tweaker. We had to get rid of him, and I'm not much of a carpenter, and I don't have time to do that kind of stuff. So it just sat. And all of a sudden we got, a whole bunch of sheets of plywood, a bunch of 4x3s or whatever they were, some good construction lumber from this company that did tilt-up roofs. We were stoked. And we had more or less what we needed. I had a compressor. We had to buy some nails and some additional wood and some brackets, but the lion's share of it was donated, and that was just amazing. And so later on, as we got closer to this, that work got done, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we're getting up to it. We needed to get speakers. And in this community, these guys knew a bunch of speakers and people that spoke at different events. And some of the, between Kevin and the other crew, I didn't really I said, I'll speak, but I'll talk about, food as medicine. I'll talk about my microgreens. I'm not going to talk anything about mushrooms. I said, I don't know, but this holistic health, let's talk about other things. And so we ended up with a really great list of speakers, but we got this one guy who had a well-renowned following, and he cost a chunk of money. And I said, well, I never spent money on a speaker before. We offer the speakers that come out a free vendor spot, which is worth, up to $600, $300, $600. And I thought that was generous on our part. And, I thought that was good. But this guy cost a chunk of money. And I said, well, if you guys think he's going to be enough of a draw, then let's do it. And the guy was awesome. He was very knowledgeable, smartest guy I've met in a while. But frankly, he didn't bring us any ticket sales. And I'm very disappointed about that. And we had another one. We had a speaker that had to back out because of getting flooded out. He was from Florida and just was not able to make it. We had another vendor that was into drug rehab and using natural remedies as tools for getting people off of addictions. And he also got flooded out. So we had a few people that we lost because of, natural events, and it was sad, but there's nothing we could do about that. But people came from a long way. We did have one vendor or speaker that we had to pay a little bit for, but it was nominal, and she put on a good presentation. So everybody else was generous enough to work for the vendor space that we gave them. And we got some vendors, and more and more. But what happened was I noticed that, we get a few and it looked like we were getting some momentum, and, there's events going on through this whole process. This is 5 months. So there was probably a dozen events that happened from the time we started till the time we finished. I thought we'd all be promoting this. I'm not in this community. And so I just thought, well, hell's bells, I would be promoting it. Now I've connected with some new people, and I've been promoting the hell out of it. And I was able to even get some volunteers that came out of it. But, we got some vendors, not nearly as many as I thought, not nearly as many as I had hoped. But I said, well, it's going to cover the cost of the event. And even with these, couple of sort of high priced, we raised enough to cover it. And so I think that, on that level, it was also successful. Then we ended up trying to get some music, and, Jeremiah knew a couple of DJs that were going to perform for a period of time for a reasonable rate. And then we needed to get some sound equipment, and we got somebody that was going to do it, but it was kind of costly. We got a food vendor that worked out beautifully. And so that was one thing that went the way it should have. I was able to make a deal with the people that have my porta potties, and they were able to give us a good deal on that. The electrician guy came out, and he did a great job. In fact, he did more than he said he was going to, and the work was more than he said. And, when it was all said and done, he said, look, I love the work you're doing. I know what you're going to be doing with this event. And, I know what you guys do as a nonprofit, and I just really want to show support. And I was very grateful. I told him that anytime him and his family wanted to come out, they're welcome to use our property. And anytime if we're having a retreat or some private session, that, he's welcome to join us. So that worked out good. Now we have power out here. We didn't have to rent generators. We didn't have to bring a bunch of extra cords or any of that. And we had, I have a friend named Bobby, another Bobby, but this is Bobby Rodrigo, and he's a good guy. And I've been working with him for more than 10 years in the nonprofit world. And he works with disaster relief and that kind of thing. So Bobby knows a bunch of musical talent, and he had a few people that he was talking about might could perform at the event, and that he'd be able to cover the sound equipment and all of this. But you know how it happens, time goes by, and we were just like, getting close to the end. And I'm just like, hey man, we gotta get on this. And at the last minute, he totally came through. And we got all the equipment we need. We had a couple of performers that came out. He covered the cost of them. And one of them, Kina, she donated her trip. She traveled down from Oregon on her own, covered her own costs. I think Bobby covered her hotel costs, but she came and performed for us, just out of the goodness of her heart. And that was amazing. So now we're getting close to the end, and we're supposed to be having a goodie bag that we're going to be giving out to the first 100 guests. And this company that was doing the promotion, they did come through for that. They were able to bring in some really great donations, and of course my company donated 3 natural products in a bag to the event as well. It was almost a $3,000 donation to this event, separate from all of it. And so we did have a great little goodie bag. There was all kinds of little extra things that I had to just find a way, go get it, go take care of it. The banners didn't get done till the last second. We had to run and go grab that. T-shirts didn't get done till the last second. And so here's where things get a little dicey. And I'm just, I don't know, I'm just, again, a little heartbroken over this. On Tuesday before the event, I received a diagnosis from a biopsy that I had that I have cancer. And I have a squamous cell carcinoma, and it's a serious deal. And I haven't told people. This is one of the first times I've said anything, and hell, I don't know who's listening this far to the end of these things. But it doesn't matter. If you know, I'm not hiding it. I just don't spend time talking about it. We're busy working to beat it. And so I find this out on Tuesday, and then I think Tuesday or Wednesday was the day Kevin and his family came out, or a number of guys came out, and they just knocked the deck out, and they worked and worked and worked. They worked into the evening, and they got it done. And I think it was Wednesday, maybe Thursday, whatever. But anyways, I had enough time to throw a coat of paint on it, and we had a deck that was functional. And again, at this time, we're supposed to, or the T-shirts are just finishing up. The banner is just finishing up. We're now looking at last minute vendors coming in. We had a bunch of vendors that said they'd come in for a donation, a portion of what they brought in. And I was able to put together some volunteers that came from Gardens of Hope. And Shelly comes all the way up from Pasadena, and she helped. Spent half the day up in the front taking tickets and keeping an eye on things. And Jeremiah was able to cover her the rest of the day. I'm super grateful for the 2 of them. And then Lynette, she comes from San Bernardino, just recently came back into my life. She's somebody who I had helped with medicine years ago and helped to change her life. And things go full circle sometimes for the good. And she came back and says, I want to volunteer. So she was able to help direct traffic. But besides that, Kevin and myself and my wife really had to handle just about everything. This other crew that was supposed to be there the whole way, they showed up something, I don't know. The event was almost ready to start, and they started putting bags together. And I'm not here to diss on anybody. They did a lot to help. But at the end of the day, I was expecting a lot of promotion. I was expecting this event to be important. We're raising money. All the ticket sales were going to go to support the community, to help people. Now, I reached out, and I'm not good at this, but I reached out to the homesteading community I've connected with. I reached out to everybody I knew. I thought I could get some produce vendors, some herb vendors. Now there was a couple of people that made herbal products that were there, but I was looking for fresh produce, fresh thing. Not one person even reached out. I just thought that this community was richer than that, and I don't know why or how. I just know that just this handful of people did so much good. And Bobby came out and was able to MC the event, did a fantastic job. Um, just really came through. One of the speakers needed some equipment that we did not have, and he took care of it. He bought the thing. We sent out my wife to go pick it up, and we made it happen so that she had what she needed. Like I said, just this handful of people did so much work. And at the end of the day, we raised, I was mistaken this morning. I realized that we had some cash that came in too. So we raised approximately $1,430. No, $1,500, right around $1,500, which was right about the amount that we spent for the keynote speaker. And that frankly broke my heart. That means we sold less than 100 tickets. That means all the leftovers that we had from the bags, there weren't very many. That means a lot of people got bags that didn't pay for tickets. And even that was just like, really? And, the event was amazing. The people that came, the vendors that came were gracious, most of them. And a lot of the speeches were amazing. Florena Threehawk, she came out. She had just had a friggin' major surgery 3 days before. And she came out and not only spent some time at her booth, but did an amazing presentation. I just go, wow, like what heart a few people had. And then I just like felt there was not much left. And now we're gonna gather this money together, and we've made contact with some key people in the homeless community. We're going to be gathering up some good supplies. So I encourage you, if you want to be part of this, we're not doing it for, oh, and I forgot, there's a guy, Darian, who was a film guy, and he came out and shot a lot of footage. Bobby also shot footage. So we will have some footage of the event, and he's going to also cover us as we do this distribution, so people can actually see the reality of what happened. But frankly, I was expecting several hundred people. We told the vendors there was going to be at least 300-400 people, and without even trying, that's an easy thing to happen if people decide that this is an important activity in the community. So that's really the story. Oh, and at the end of it, Kevin was the one that came over to help me clean up. So my wife and I and Kevin did all the cleanup. And frankly, luckily, the people were pretty respectful, and there wasn't a big mess, except for one my dogs made. But nonetheless, of all the people that could have and should have been helping, Kevin came out and helped me put all the chairs away. He took them, sent them all back, and all the sound equipment. He did all that on his own, didn't have to. My wife and I helped load everything up, and we're still getting rid of the trash cans, some of the trash that came from the event. So I'm really pretty much sure that I don't think we're going to do another mushroom community event. However, some of the people through this in the mushroom community were amazing, and we're talking about doing some classes and workshops, and we're going to build a community out of this, but not going to be coming out of the general public. It's going to happen smaller, more organically. These gardens are sacred. There's been 30 years of love and attention and ceremony and prayer and good things that have happened here. And we're going to continue this work on. And, for those of you that are the materialistic, in it for what you can get, there's a lot of shows. I encourage you to get out there and get what you can. For those of you who are doing this for deeper reasons, trying to make the world better, trying to heal, get with me. We're building a community. There will be events, but we're doing more private retreats, different classes, workshops, and we'll be doing some smaller community events. Not attempting, I don't think, to do something big and public like this anytime in the future for sure. And that's it. I welcome you to contact me if you have any questions. I'm here to help. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm fighting my own battles through this as well. So I got to spend the time I need to on that. So thank you for your support with this podcast, and we'll talk soon. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.